Frothy Friday live from Brisbane River. Heaps of birds about, making a bit of a kerfuffle up there in the trees. We've got heaps normal, delicious, non-alcoholic, quite XPA. Love it. Boys are frothers too. I think there's some, when you drink alcohol where you know the people who've created it, you know when someone's got a home brew or something and you're sitting around and there's a deep appreciation. I think that's the craft that goes into anything we buy. We have more appreciation if it's friends. I noticed that with some of my musician mates. Do I love their music more because I love them? Is there something to ponder on? This beer, and any beer for that matter, it's really interesting to think about the dialogues that we have with what we might call inanimate objects. When you say like animate objects are things that are alive, this is technically alive in some way, shape or form. We just might not be able to see it. So I think the interesting thing when it comes to drinking and having conversations and opening up dialogues with ourselves and our drinks is like, what would our drinks say back to us if we inquired with them? What would we honestly ask our drinks if we got the opportunity? With the 101 Tokens movement, it's all, I kind of distilled it into something really simple the other day. It's basically, have a drink, I might have one, yeah, and then have a word. So, not after every sip, and actually with the 101 token systems, you wait till the day after to have the word. But that's pretty much the fundamental, I think, system that we could potentially change our habits on for anything. Because I believe that the problem is that we're not having the self-reflection, we're not having a word. And so when it comes to drinking, just have your drinks, whatever they are. If you're just starting out with trying to optimize your drinking, it's a good place to start. Just start, and the next day ask yourself, was it worth it or not? Have a word with yourself. If that's not cutting the mustard, then it's time to sort of invest in some form or find a free app or try something like that. And if that having a word doesn't work, then have a word to someone that you trust. And if that having a word doesn't work, then you might need to find a coach or go find a supportive group of humans that can help you through it. So it's all, really, it comes down to having a word. It just depends on what degree of word you need to have, if that makes sense. And that goes for everything. So if it's any vice or any, oh shit, I just fucked that up, sorry. Oh no, uh-oh. Ah, there you go. This is real, I've probably pushed the brightness up too much now. Anywho, so if you think about anything, if you think about your Netflix habits and you're waking up feeling shitty, are you having a word with yourself about Netflix? Probably not, most people don't. Especially those things that they don't define as vices. I was having a yarn on Tuesday, and if you've been listening to a few of my videos, you might have heard me mention this podcast called The Emerald. It's fucking awesome. It's about mythology and so much more. And I'm so stoked that I actually get to have dialogue with Josh, the guy who's created it, as well as these amazing people who jump on a call once every couple of weeks from around the world. And it just blows my mind that there's only like 10 or 12 people on the call, because it's only a matter of time before it blows up to epic proportions. And I was having a yarn with him about one of his episodes where he was talking about that people, myself included, will say that technology is neutral and that it's our relationships to the technology which is actually the problem, which is true, but it's a yes and the neutrality is wrong. So the relationship's right. Are we having a word? Are we shifting our habits? Are we in alignment? But the neutrality is bullshit with our phones. And I mean, he makes the point that the social dilemma, is that what it's called? Social dilemma makes it pretty obvious that there's people getting paid shitloads of money to try and keep our attention on their apps. So it makes sense. But the thing I like actually more about that is him talking about the artificial light that comes from our phones, and that we're attracted to this artificial light. And we've been attracted to light forever. And of course we're attracted to light because the sun is the giver of of life. And so things that are in light, so he mentions while we're so infatuated with fucking Instagram people and people on the silver screen, it's because they're kind of like godly, like, you know, if you think about the way that we talk about when gods come down, it's like bright lights, flashes, and yeah, so really interesting to be able to listen to someone like him just blow apart the things that I would be saying. I would get on a stage or be running a workshop and I'd be talking about, you know, it's just relationship with the thing. But that's fucking bullshit. I used to work in advertising, you know. The fellas who run this, a couple of them, one of them still owns a branding agency, and so they understand the power of like the design and the power of advertising, and you can wield it for positivity or you can wield it to be a fucking prick, and I've done both. So yeah, I guess that's a really interesting sort of thought I've been having lately, is how can we open up more dialogues with people. And for my part, I was just having a little think in the shower this morning. It's like the people that I listen to most, I do open up dialogues with them, not all the time, but I have an ability to be able to connect with them. Like I was thinking, oh, what if, because the Euros are on at the moment, like the Euros and the Copa America are on, two biggest football tournaments behind, international football tournaments behind the World Cup. And I love Ronaldo, like Ronaldo's the man. But would I want to have dinner with Ronaldo? If they gave me 3 people to have dinner with, would I have dinner with Ronaldo? Nah, he doesn't say much that I'm like, you know, that's the kind of thing I want to listen to. He does seem quite wise and quite generous with his cash, but his dedication and stuff like is amazing. But they're not the people I would want to chat to if they only gave me 3 people to invite to dinner. And the people I'd invite to dinner are people that I could invite to dinner if we weren't in freaking lockdowns and stuff, of course. So that makes me happy. I wonder, maybe there's a little bit of a thought experiment. If you ask yourself who were the 3 people that you would want to invite to dinner, could you actually invite them to dinner? And of course you could actually invite them to dinner, but would they actually come? Like, what's the likelihood of them coming? And I reckon if I got someone else to cook, I could probably get all 3 to come down, or at least come down for a beer. So yeah, that was kind of a nice thing, not tooting my own horn. It's not that, and I don't think it's actually that hard. It's just that people don't think they've got enough good stuff to say. Maybe they don't, and they need to work on that, but it's like everyone has an opportunity to find the frothers and start to bring them into their sphere of influence, if you want to call it that. And the more that we keep searching and learning, like, I wouldn't, to hold a frothy conversation with Josh from the Emerald, I have to listen to his stuff. Like, he kind of reminds me of Jamie Wheel, who's another one of my mentors, and Christine McDougall as well. It's like you have to listen to their stuff if you want to have the conversation, because otherwise you're not going to have as rich a conversation as you possibly can. I'm not saying I'm at their level of linguistic gymnastics that those guys play. However, I do have some froth to offer. And interestingly, there was a point when I was chatting to Josh and I was like, because there's one thing that sticks with me from this book, The Third Door. I highly recommend reading it if you want to dive in on like how you can go and meet anyone in the world. This fella in the US pretty much did it over the space of 5 or 10 years, can't remember. And his stories are wild, like he was meeting Steven Spielberg and stuff, and that's because they were people that he was frothing on. And he's got lots of cool strategies. But at one point, and in that book, The Third Door, it's like he gets this advice from this fellow, and he says, you know, don't be a fan, try and be a friend, you know. And that stuck with me. And I kind of have moved past that to be, I don't want to be a friend. I actually think, like, how can I be of service to this person, and how could we collaborate together? Not that I will explicitly say this, but that's my mindset when I'm like contacting someone. It's like, cool, how can we do frothy work that the world needs together? Because at the end of the day, we don't need more people fanboying and fangirling. Having said that, guess what I just did? I was just getting whipped up and over froth. We've talked about that. And I had to call myself out. I was like, mate, I don't want to be like a fucking fanboy here. And he was really good about it. He was like, no, that's all right, mate. And I'm really loving this feedback. It's cool. And so I caught myself just, basically reflecting back what I just told you about the non-neutrality of digital devices. And yeah, I hope this is a bit of a frothy Friday. I'm having a frothy time at the conference here. And I hope that's of value, and hope you have a fucking ripping weekend. And if there's a vice that's giving you the shits, then just keep doing it, and then the next day have a word. And if that doesn't work, then have a word with someone else until you get to a point where the froth is real and alive again.